kicked out my wife and stepdaughter after they tried to exclude my son from our family. I never thought I'd be posting something like this, but here I am. I've been married to my wife, Kelly, for 8 years. I thought we had a solid relationship, a good partnership. She had one daughter from a previous marriage, Ava, and I had one son, Liam, who's 10. From the moment we said, I do, I've done everything in my power to provide a good life for all of us. I'm the one footing the bill for the house, the cars, the vacations, and basically everything else. And yet, somehow, Kelly has managed to repay me by treating my son like he's a guest in his own home. We live in a 3-bedroom house. Ava, who just turned 11, has her own room. A room I insisted on decorating for her, by the way. Liam also has his own room, and Kelly and I share the master bedroom. From the outside, it probably looks like a pretty functional setup, but inside these walls, there's a divide that keeps growing wider and more impossible to ignore. Ava is, well, she's a mini version of her mom. She's entitled and spoiled, though not in an outright malicious way. She doesn't bully Liam outright, but she always makes it clear that she's the princess of the house. Kelly is a different story. From the very beginning, it's like she decided that Liam was my kid and not her responsibility. She barely speaks to him unless she has to. If he's upset or hurt, she's indifferent. It's not just that she doesn't go out of her way to spend time with him. It's that she actively avoids doing so. All her focus is on Ava. Her parties, her needs, her whims. Liam? He's an afterthought. At first, I told myself it was just an adjustment period. Blending families is hard, right? I figured she needed time to bond with Liam. But 8 years later, how much time does someone need? If anything, it's gotten worse. It's like she's built a wall between herself and Liam, and she's determined to keep it standing. And Liam, bless him, he's a good kid. He's kind and polite, always willing to help out. He's been through so much already, losing his mom 2 years before Kelly and I got married. He's always been hopeful that Kelly would be the mother figure he's been missing. But the way she treats him, it's like a knife to the heart. I see it in his eyes, the way he looks at her, hoping for a shred of affection or acknowledgement, only to be met with indifference or worse, annoyance. I wasn't stupid not to notice, but I kept giving her a chance. When Kelly would leave Liam out of family activities, I told myself it might be just a coincidence. When she ignored his achievements while praising Ava for the smallest things, I chalked it up to her being busy or distracted. But now, looking back, I see it for what it was, a pattern. A clear and deliberate pattern of exclusion. I'll try to talk to her about it over the years, but it always turns into a fight. She accuses me of being overprotective or overreacting. She insists that she treats both kids equally, even when it's blatantly untrue. I've even tried family counseling, but she refused to participate, claiming that I was the one with the problem, not her. The divide in our house has become unbearable. Ava walks around like she owns the place, and Kelly enables her every whim. Meanwhile, Liam tiptoes around, trying not to upset anyone, trying to find his place in a home that doesn't feel like his own. There was one moment that stands out in my mind, a moment that made me realize just how bad things had gotten. It was a Saturday morning, and I was working in the garage. Liam came out to show me a drawing he'd been working on. He's got a talent for art, something he's really passionate about. He was so excited, beaming as he handed me the paper. "This is amazing, buddy," I said, genuinely impressed. "Let's show Kelly." We went inside, and Liam proudly held up his drawing. "Look what I made, Kelly," he said, his eyes shining with hope. She barely glanced at it. "That's nice, Liam," she said, her tone flat. Then she turned back to Ava, who was whining about wanting a snack. "What do you want, sweetheart?" she cooed, completely ignoring Liam. The way his face fell, I'll never forget it. It was like watching a balloon deflate. He walked away quietly, mumbling something about going back to his room. I stood there, stunned, angry, and heartbroken all at once. I wanted to scream at Kelly, to shake her and make her see what she was doing. But I didn't. I just stood there, frozen, as the realization hit me. This wasn't going to change. Now, every time I see Liam retreat to his room or look at Kelly with that mix of hope and disappointment, I feel a knot in my stomach. He deserves better. He deserves to feel loved and valued in his own home. And if Kelly isn't willing to step up and be the mother he needs, then I'll have to figure out another way to give him the life he deserves. This is our reality, a blended family that looks perfect only from the outside. I'm sharing this because I need to get it off my chest, and maybe someone out there has been through something similar. Maybe someone has advice or words of wisdom. Because right now, I feel like I'm failing my son, and that's a pain I wouldn't wish on anyone. Update. The breaking point came last weekend. It was Ava's 11th birthday, and Kelly went all out. She decorated the backyard with balloons and streamers, hired a clown, and got a custom cake with Ava's favorite cartoon characters on it. The whole setup screamed over the top, but I went along with it. Ava was excited, and I thought it might be a good opportunity for everyone to bond, or at least pretend to. Liam was looking forward to the party too. He had saved up his allowance to buy Ava a small gift, something she'd mentioned wanting weeks ago. He even made her a handmade card, spending hours drawing and coloring it. When he showed it to me before the party, he was practically glowing with pride. "Do you think she'll like it?" he asked, his eyes wide with hope. "She'll love it," I assured him. "It's thoughtful and personal. She'll see how much effort you put into it." The party started off well enough. The kids played games, chased each other around the yard, and laughed like only kids can. Liam tried his best to join in, even though he's naturally a bit quieter and more reserved. When it was time for the cake, everyone gathered around the table. The cake was a masterpiece, covered in colorful icing and shaped like Ava's favorite character. The kids oohed and ahed as Kelly lit the candles. I noticed Liam standing off to the side, holding his gift and card. I gave him a little nudge. Go stand next to Ava. Let's get a picture of you two together, I said. He smiled shyly and walked over, standing next to Ava with his gift in hand. Just as the camera was about to snap, Kelly's voice cut through the air. Liam, step out for a second, she said, waving her hand dismissively. I want a picture with just Ava. Liam froze. He looked at me, confused and hurt. His smile faded, and he hesitated for a moment before stepping aside, his head hanging low. My heart sank. I could feel the anger bubbling up inside me, but I tried to keep it in check. After the picture was taken, I walked over to Liam. Hey bud, you okay? I asked softly. He nodded, but I could see the tears welling up in his eyes. He quickly wiped them away and forced a smile. Yeah, I'm fine, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. That was the moment I snapped. I turned to Kelly, who was busy organizing the next activity. What the hell was that? I demanded, my voice louder than I intended. She looked at me like I had 3 heads. What are you talking about? She asked, genuinely confused. Why would you tell Liam to step out of the picture? He's part of this family too, I said, my voice shaking with anger. Kelly rolled her eyes. I just want a picture of Ava. It's her birthday after all. What's the big deal? The big deal is that you made Liam feel excluded. On purpose. I shot back. Do you have any idea how that made him feel? You're overreacting, she said dismissively. He'll be fine. I turned to Liam, who was now standing off to the side, clutching his gift and card. Does he look fine to you? I asked, my voice rising. The tension was palpable. The other parents at the party quickly averted their eyes, pretending not to notice the argument unfolding. Kelly stormed off, muttering something under her breath, and I stayed with Liam, trying to comfort him. The party continued, but the damage was done. Liam's mood was ruined, and so was mine. Later that night, after the kids were in bed, I confronted Kelly again. You're driving a wedge in this family, I told her. Her response was as cold as ever. I'm already doing enough by letting him live here. Don't ask me to do more. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Letting him live here? As if he were some unwelcome guest. My blood boiled, but I forced myself to stay calm. This is his home, Kelly. I think you've forgotten that, I said firmly. And if you can't treat him like he belongs here, then maybe this isn't going to work. She didn't respond, but the look on her face said it all. The divide in our family had never felt wider, and I knew something had to change soon. The fight didn't end with Ava's party. If anything, it ignited a fuse that had been smoldering for years. For the next few days, Kelly and I barely spoke. The tension in the house was suffocating. Even Ava, who usually thrived on being the center of attention, seemed uneasy. But Liam just kept his head down and stayed out of the way, as if he were used to being collateral damage. It was a Thursday evening when everything boiled over. I came home from work, exhausted but determined to address what had happened. Kelly was in the kitchen, scrolling on her phone, while Ava sat at the table doing homework. Liam was nowhere to be seen, probably hiding in his room like usual. We need to talk, I said, setting my bag down. Kelly didn't even look up. About what? She asked, her tone clipped. About Liam. About the way you treat him. That got her attention. She put her phone down and crossed her arms, leaning against the counter. What now? I thought we already had this conversation. No, we didn't, I said, my voice steady but firm. We had a fight. There's a difference. And I'm not letting this go. Ava glanced up from her homework, sensing the brewing storm, but Kelly waved her off. Go to your room, Ava, she said. Ava didn't argue, grabbing her books and retreating upstairs. Once we were alone, I took a deep breath and began. Liam's a good kid. He's kind, he's respectful, and he's done nothing but try to be part of this family. But you shut him out from day one, and I'm done pretending it's okay. Kelly rolled her eyes. Oh, please don't make me the villain here. I've done plenty for him. Like what? I shouted. Ignoring him? Treating him like a burden? Letting Ava walk all over him? That's not being a stepmom. That's being a bully. Her face flushed with anger. How dare you call me a bully? I've done everything I can to make this work, but he's not my kid. He's your responsibility, not mine. And Ava's not mine, I said, my voice rising. But I've treated her like she is. I provided for her, supported her, loved her. Why can't you do the same for Liam? Because it's different, she snapped. Ava's my daughter. Liam, he's just your son. Her words hit me. Just your son. As if he were some outsider, an unwelcome guest in his own home. I stared at her, my hands shaking with anger. Do you even hear yourself right now? I asked, my voice low and trembling. You're not just hurting him. You're hurting us, this family. And if you can't see that, then maybe you don't belong here either. Her eyes widened, and for a moment, I thought she might actually apologize. But instead, she doubled down. You're unbelievable. I put up with so much from you and Liam, and now you're threatening to kick me out? Fine. Maybe I should leave. Maybe you and your precious son would be better off without me. The words hung in the air like a toxic cloud. I didn't respond. I turned and walked away, heading upstairs to check on Liam. He was sitting on his bed, headphones on, sketching in his notebook. When he saw me, he pulled off his headphones and smiled weakly. Hey, Dad. Everything okay? I sat down next to him, my chest tight with guilt and sadness. I'm working on it, bud, I said, ruffling his hair. I promise. The next morning, I decided I needed solid evidence before making any serious decisions. I hated the idea of spying in my own home, but I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more going on behind my back. The tension in the house, the way Liam seemed to retreat into himself more every day, it all pointed to something deeper than what I had already seen. I needed to know the truth, not just for my own clarity, but for Liam's sake. The truth would also help me in the divorce process that I'm now seriously considering. So, I ordered a couple of discreet cameras online, the kind small enough to blend into the background without drawing attention. They arrived 2 days later, and I spent the evening carefully installing them in common areas. The living room, the kitchen, and most importantly Liam's room. I took extra care to position them where they would capture the interactions without invading anyone's privacy unnecessarily. For the next week, I reviewed the footage every night after everyone went to bed. At first, the recordings didn't show anything unusual. Liam mostly stayed in his room, reading or sketching. Kelly and Ava went about their routines, and there were no outright conflicts. For a moment, I began to doubt myself, wondering if I was being paranoid or overreacting. But something deep inside told me my doubts were true. Then, on the third day, I found it. The footage began innocuously enough. Liam was in the living room, sitting quietly on the couch with a book in his hands. Ava entered the frame, her posture immediately exuding entitlement. She walked straight up to Liam and snatched the book from his hands without a word. Liam looked up at her, startled, and reached out to take it back. "This isn't your house," Ava hissed, her voice dripping with disdain. "Stop acting like you belong here." She tossed the book across the room, and Liam froze, his face a mixture of confusion and hurt. He got up slowly and walked over to retrieve the book, but before he could pick it up, Kelly entered the room. She looked at the scene, saw Liam reaching for the book, and said coldly, "Leave it, Liam. You don't need to cause trouble." Liam's shoulders slumped, and he turned away without a word. Kelly didn't even glance at Ava, who was smirking triumphantly. My hands clenched in a fist as I watched the scene unfold. This wasn't a misunderstanding or a one-time slip. This was calculated exclusion, and it was coming from both of them. The next incident occurred in the kitchen. Liam had bought a few snacks with his allowance and had neatly stored them in a corner of the pantry. The footage showed Ava rummaging through the pantry, pulling out Liam's snacks and tearing open a bag of chips. Moments later, Liam walked into the kitchen and saw her. He approached her hesitantly, his voice polite but firm. "Ava, those are my snacks. Can you please not eat them?" he asked. Ava's response was immediate and dismissive. "Mom says I can have whatever I want. You don't get to tell me anything." Kelly entered the frame seconds later, holding her phone. She glanced at the scene, her expression indifferent. Ava looked at her and smirked, as if seeking backup. Kelly chuckled and said, "Don't be so selfish, Liam. Sharing won't kill you." Liam looked down, visibly trying to hold back his frustration. He turned and left the kitchen without another word. Ava continued eating, her smugness almost unbearable to watch. My heart broke for Liam, his kindness, his willingness to be respectful, all dismissed like they meant nothing. But the worst moment came the following day. Liam had a favorite hoodie, one that his late mother had given him. It was worn but cherished, a tangible connection to her memory. The footage showed Ava using the hoodie to clean up a spill on the floor. Liam walked into the living room and froze when he saw what she was doing. "Ava, stop," he pleaded, his voice cracking with emotion. "That's my hoodie. It's really important to me." Ava looked at him and laughed. "It's just a stupid hoodie. Get over it." Liam rushed forward to take the hoodie from her, but before he could, Kelly appeared. She surveyed the scene, her lips curving into a faint smirk. "Maybe if you didn't leave your things lying around, this wouldn't happen," she said, her tone cold and mocking. Liam clutched the hoodie to his chest, tears welling up in his eyes as he turned to walk away. Kelly grabbed his arm roughly. "I told you to stop whining, didn't I?" she snapped. "Go to your room before I make you regret it." Liam winced, his small frame recoiling from her grip. He nodded silently and retreated to his room, his shoulders shaking as he clutched the ruined hoodie. Ava's giggles echoed in the background as Kelly turned away, unconcerned. Watching that footage felt like a punch in the face. I had known that things were bad, but this was abuse, plain and simple. The realization was almost too much to bear. That night, I sat in the dark, replaying the scenes in my head. The evidence was undeniable, but so was the pain. I made up my mind. I'm going through with a divorce. This isn't a healthy family for either my son or me, and I need to take action immediately. Update. Hey everyone, it's been a while since my last post, and I've been meaning to update you. Things have escalated, and honestly, I took a long, hard look at the situation with Kelly and Ava, and I realized I couldn't wait any longer to act. So here's what happened. The day I confronted Kelly with the videos was one of the hardest and most liberating moments of my life. I waited until Liam was at school, and Ava was out with a friend. Kelly was in the living room, scrolling on her phone like nothing was wrong. My heart was pounding, but I knew I had to stay calm and stick to the facts. "Kelly," I started, holding the folder where I'd printed screenshots from the footage. "We need to talk. Now." She looked up annoyed. "Can it wait? I'm in the middle of something." "No," I said firmly, sitting down across from her. "It can't." I handed her the folder, and she opened it reluctantly. As she flipped through the screenshots, Ava snatching Liam's book, her mocking him about the snacks, and the incident with the hoodie. Her expression barely changed. When she got to the part where she grabbed Liam's arm and snapped at him, she tossed the folder onto the coffee table. "So what's your point?" she said, crossing her arms. I stared at her, stunned. "My point? Kelly, this is abuse. You and Ava have been treating Liam like an outsider, like he doesn't even belong in his own home. This isn't just favoritism, it's cruelty." She rolled her eyes. "Oh, don't be so dramatic. Kids fight all the time. Liam needs to toughen up. And if you're upset about me disciplining him, maybe you should step up more as a parent." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Disciplining him? Kelly, you were mocking him, encouraging Ava to humiliate him. You laughed when she used his late mother's hoodie to clean a spill. Do you even hear yourself right now? I didn't wait to even hear her answer. That was it. That was the moment I knew there was no saving this. Any lingering hope I had that she could change, that she cared about this family, evaporated. I stood up, my hands shaking with anger. "You're done here, Kelly," I said, my voice cold. "You and Ava need to pack your things and leave. Today." She laughed, as if I had just told a joke. "Excuse me? You're kicking us out of my house?" "My house," I corrected her. "I pay the mortgage, the bills, everything. And after what you've done to Liam, you don't deserve to live here." Her expression shifted, her entitlement turning into fury. "You can't just kick us out. Where are we supposed to go?" "That's not my problem," I said. "I'll give you a week to figure it out, but you're not staying here any longer. I've already contacted a lawyer. I'm filing for divorce." She stood up, shouting at me about how unfair I was being, how she'd sacrificed so much for this family. I didn't engage. I just repeated myself. "You have a week. Pack your things. Update." Hey everyone, I'm back with another update. I've been meaning to write this for a while, but life has been chaotic since I started the divorce process. Honestly, I thought kicking Kelly and Ava out of the house would be the hardest part, but I was wrong. The real fight started when the paperwork hit her hands. After Kelly moved out, I filed for divorce immediately. My lawyer helped me outline everything, the finances, custody of the house, and of course ensuring Liam's safety was the top priority. I had hoped Kelly would take the hint and move on quietly. We both knew the relationship was irreparably broken, but instead, she came back swinging, and not in a good way. The first inkling of trouble came when I got served with her response to the divorce petition. Kelly was demanding half of everything: the house, the savings, the cars, even a portion of my retirement fund. She also claimed she was entitled to spousal support because she had sacrificed so much to be in this marriage. I almost laughed when I read it. Sacrificed? All I could think about was the evidence I had of her mistreatment of Liam. If anyone had sacrificed anything, it was my son. But Kelly wasn't done. She lawyered up with someone who clearly knew how to play dirty. They started making accusations, claiming I was an absentee father and that Kelly had been the primary caregiver for both kids. It was absurd. She'd never cared for Liam, and Ava had been her priority since day one. But in divorce court, accusations like that can stick if you don't have solid evidence to refute them. That's when I remembered the videos. My lawyer was thrilled when I told her about the footage. She said it could be a game changer, but we had to present it carefully. The recording showed not only Kelly's indifference but also her outright cruelty toward Liam. They captured the bullying and Kelly's enabling behavior, as well as the heartbreaking moment where Kelly grabbed Liam's arm and threatened him. When Kelly's lawyer saw that we intended to use the footage, they tried to argue that the recordings were an invasion of privacy. But my lawyer shut that down quickly, citing that the cameras were placed in common areas, not private spaces, and were installed for Liam's safety. The judge allowed the evidence, and suddenly Kelly's narrative started falling apart. The courtroom was tense when the videos were played. I'll never forget the look on Kelly's face as the footage rolled. She shifted uncomfortably in her seat, her usual smugness replaced with unease. Her lawyer tried to downplay it, arguing that it was out of context and that Kelly was just disciplining Liam. But there was no way to sugarcoat the way she laughed when Ava humiliated him or how coldly she dismissed his pleas. The judge didn't buy it. In fact, they seemed disgusted by what they saw. I could feel the tide turning in my favor. Kelly didn't take it well. After that hearing, she doubled down on making my life as difficult as possible. She started spreading rumors, telling anyone who would listen that I was the abusive one and that I had brainwashed Liam against her. Some of her family members even reached out to me, accusing me of being heartless for breaking up the family. It was infuriating, but I kept my head down and focused on the legal process. The financial battle was the next hurdle. Kelly was still pushing for half of everything, despite the fact that she had never contributed financially to the household. Her lawyer argued that she deserved spousal support because she had been dependent on me during our marriage. My lawyer countered with the videos, showing that Kelly's behavior had contributed to the breakdown of the marriage and that she had failed to fulfill even the basic duties of a partner and stepmother. The judge sided with me on most counts. Kelly didn't get the house or the majority of our savings. She walked away with a smaller settlement than she had demanded and no spousal support. The court recognized that her behavior toward Liam was not only harmful, but also a significant factor in the divorce. For the first time in years, I felt like someone was truly in my corner. But the best part? Liam is safe now. The court granted me full custody of him, which means Kelly has no legal claim to him or the house. That was my biggest fear, that she would somehow try to use Liam as leverage, even though she had never cared about him. Now, she can't hurt him anymore. Thank you to everyone who encouraged me to take that first step. Your advice and support gave me the courage to do what needed to be done. If you're out there reading this and feeling trapped in a toxic situation, Please know that there's a way out. It won't be easy, but it will be worth it. Liam and I are proof of that. Update. Hey everyone, I'm back with an update. Let's hope it's the last one, and you and I stop hearing about Kelly ever again. A few weeks after the divorce was finalized, I started hearing rumblings through mutual acquaintances and even a few nosy neighbors. Apparently, Kelly wasn't doing so well living with her sister. Initially, I didn't pay much attention. I was focused on moving forward with my life and helping Liam adjust to our new normal. But then Kelly started reaching out. It started with a few texts. At first, they seemed innocent enough, basic questions about Ava's schoolwork or her belongings that were still at the house. I responded politely, keeping things short and professional. But it didn't take long for the tone of her messages to shift. The texts started coming more frequently, and they weren't just about Ava anymore. Kelly began reminiscing about our marriage, saying things like, "I didn't realize how good I had it, and I missed the life we had together." I ignored most of these messages. But then came the emails. In one particularly long email, Kelly poured her heart out, or at least that's what she wanted me to believe. She wrote about how hard things had been since the divorce, how her sister was impossible to live with, and how Ava was struggling in school because of all the changes. She even tried to tug at my heartstrings, claiming that Ava missed me and Liam and wanted to see us again. It was an obvious attempt to guilt me, but I wasn't buying it. From what I'd heard, Kelly's sister wasn't thrilled about having 2 new house guests. Kelly had always been high maintenance, and now that she didn't have me as a financial safety net, the cracks in her life were starting to show. She'd never had to budget or worry about bills before, and apparently, the reality of living without a provider was hitting her hard. Ava, meanwhile, wasn't adjusting well to the lack of luxury she'd grown accustomed to. The constant tension in their new living arrangement was clearly taking a toll, but that wasn't my problem anymore. One evening, Kelly called me. I stared at the screen for a moment before declining the call. Seconds later, she texted, "Can we please talk, just for a few minutes?" Against my better judgment, I decided to reply. "What do you want, Kelly?" Her response came almost immediately. "I just want to apologize. I've been thinking a lot about everything, and I realize now how much I took for granted. I made mistakes, and I want to make things right." I stared at the message, my jaw tightening. This wasn't about making things right. This was about her realizing she couldn't handle the life she had created for herself. I decided to call her bluff. "What exactly do you want to make right?" I replied, "The way you treated Liam? The way you let Ava bully him? Or is this just about the fact that you don't have someone footing the bill for you anymore?" Her reply was defensive. "That's not fair. I know I wasn't perfect, but I did the best I could. I miss the life we had. Don't you?" I didn't even bother responding. Instead, I blocked her number. It was clear that she hadn't truly changed. She was just desperate. Desperate for the comfort and stability she had lost, and likely desperate for someone to shoulder her responsibilities again. But I wasn't going to be that person anymore. Over the next few days, Kelly tried other ways to get in contact. She emailed me from a different address, showed up at Liam's school claiming she wanted to check on him, and even sent a message through one of her friends. Each time I shut it down, I made it clear that we were done, that she had made her choices and would have to live with them. Now, a few months later, Kelly's attempts to reconcile have slowed down, though I wouldn't be surprised if she tried again. From what I've heard, she's still struggling, bouncing between jobs and relying heavily on her sister. Ava is reportedly acting out, which doesn't surprise me considering how she was raised. As much as I feel sorry for them, I know it's not my place to fix their lives. My priority is Liam and making sure he grows up in a loving, stable environment. To anyone reading this who might be in a similar situation, let me say this. People like Kelly rarely change. They might realize what they've lost, but that doesn't mean they're ready to take accountability or truly make amends. Thanks to y'all for following along with my story. Your comments helped me a lot throughout the past period.